Teach me how to duck, duck. Teach me how to duck. Teach me how to duck, duck.
Everybody love me. Everybody love me. Everybody love me. You ain't messing with my Dougie.
Teach me how to duck. Teach me how to duck.
Black is the first color, or it's the first anything. It's the beginning, because in the beginning, before there was light, there had to be black. It's the space that filled the cosmos long before anything else did. It's the blanket that covers our skies at night, holding the stars in place. It's the hue of the soil that makes up the top layer of the earth from which everything grows. It's the coal, the rock that can fuel electricity or be transformed into diamonds, because black is fundamental. It's the life cycle of every living thing, the cycle that begins and ends with each of us being engulfed in blackness. It's the womb that gave birth to all of the human race, the womb, the dark space inside your mother where your body was cautiously sewn together. It's the most intricate array of skin tones in which you can find every shade, ranging from fantastically fair to deeply magnificent. It's the dirt that God used to form man, the dirt that God blew his life-giving breath into. It's a third of the Trinity taking on a human form, having skin of bronze and hair like wool. Black is creation. It's the smell of the fried chicken sizzling as it touches the hot grease. It's the sound of the clippers as it sketches the sharp angles along the outer corners of the forehead. It's the bounce of the curls, kinks, and coils as they grow in ways that defy gravity. It's the echo that follows the smack of my lips in response to hearing nonsense. It's the twang and the slang of my tongue to create a colorful speech in which you hate but imitate. It's the brushstrokes that paints the picture that simultaneously reveals the past yet imagines the future. It's the nod of my head to a beat pounding bass heavy music that tells the stories of all realities. It's the rhythmic limp in my strut, pep in my step, and dip in my hip. Man, black is the culture. It's the full lips, the plump gateway, the entry to the fountain of truth, the lips that as they change formations, a mood is revealed. It's the growth of the head that does not engage in a line dance, but sachets from the root in the hustle, with some strands adding their own flair to the growth choreography. It's them statuesque frames that simultaneously exude strength and grace, the frames that had a strength so visible it was exploited, and a grace so undeniable it was mimicked, appropriated. It's the brown eyes, the eyes that can see so clearly they don't have sight, they have vision. The eyes, the windows between what is and what could be. The eyes, the projection system that can cash dreams onto present day nightmares. It's the smile that has yet to fade despite having every reason to. The smile that shines bright even on the darkest of days. The smile that knows happiness is a privilege but understands its joy can never be taken from it. It's the skin that is as reflective as a mirror. The skin that the more melanin you add, the more it glistens. The skin that has them wondering if it is reflecting sunlight or if the light within is beaming through the stained glass windows that is our melanin, because black is beautiful. It's the backs that is all of our backs, the backs that endured so many lashings that I can feel the scarring in my DNA. It's the backs that never broke under pressure. It's the shoulders of the slave, of the Negro, of the organizer, of the activist, the shoulders that I stand on today. It's the hands that once touched spears, the hands that once pounded on the djembe, the hands that once bled as they picked cotton, the hands that are raised in surrender, don't shoot. It's the feet that ran to freedom, the feet that were and still are running from brutality, the feet that march to freedom. These feet are still marching to freedom. It's the body that searches for its true name, the body that can feel royalty in its bloodline, but unfortunately it caught a case of that slave trade amnesia, the body that refuses to be property. It's the spirit that never settles, the spirit, the one reincarnated in every generation, the spirit that looks death in the face and remembers, the spirit that continues to scream, no more. Black is a people. It's them shackles that were placed on the conveyor belt of Darwinism and came out on the other side as handcuffs, or them plantations that were wrapped in a bigoted chrysalis, with prisons being a result of its metamorphosis. It's the gavel that has proven to be as deadly as a guillotine, the gavel that bangs and knocks off years from a lifespan, the gavel that stamps the passport to the electric chair. It's the whip that they use to beat us into submission, or the baton that they use to beat us into submission, or the gun that they use to send us into submission, because to them our existence is resistance to submission. It's the scarring on our necks from the noose that they tied around our necks. It's the rope that they used to hang us by our necks. We can't breathe. It's the sleeve of the shirt that covered the arms that they wrapped around our necks, the arms that claimed they were searching my neck for compliance but really wanted silence. We can't breathe. It's the pants leg that covered the knee that kneeled on our necks, the knee that ordered us to get down but felt that the ground was not down far enough. We can't breathe because Black is endangered. It's the color of the dress I wear to the funeral to mourn another one of the Black bodies taken by the hands of law enforcement. It's the saltiness of the tears I cry in remembrance of those who look like me, the tears I cry in pre-mourning of deaths that have yet to happen but will inevitably happen, the tears I cry in anticipation of my own premature death. It's the mixture of rage and confusion that grows inside of me as I watch the trial on TV and the officer is not indicted. It's the knee covered in grass stains from refusing to honor a flag that doesn't represent me or a country that doesn't embrace me. It's the warmth from the flames of the riot fires, the warmth from the flames that are visible manifestations of our pain. It's the motion of my fist being raised in defiance, in resistance, in solidarity, or the motion of my middle finger being raised to the police, to the man, to the system. It's the sound of 1,000 feet marching in unison, the feeling of solidarity flowing through the air, the evolution of vibrations that started in the slaves' hymn but is still present in the protesters' chant. Black is a movement. It's the shattering of the glass, the thick glass that made up the ceiling meant to keep us on the first floor. The glass that was no match for our relentless rockets. It's the pump fakes, crossovers, and step backs that break the ankles of their defenses, causing their barriers to fall. It's the spin move, jukes, and stiff arms that help us find our way out of the entanglement that is generational poverty. It's the motion of their heads turning as a response to the sound of their stereotypes being blown to smithereens. The motion of their heads turning as we not surpass but zoom past them and their expectations. It's the intimidation they feel as a result of our presence. The intimidation they feel because they know they couldn't walk a mile in our shoes, let alone take a few steps. It's the looks on their faces when their ego is no longer able to shield them from reality. The looks on their faces when they realize that we arrived at our destination on our own, that we were able to navigate through their white supremacy, that they would be unable to get anywhere without their global positioning system known as white privilege, because Black is power, Black is history, complexity, innovation, resilience, creativity, resistance, transformation, strength, boldness, and so much more. all, but most importantly, Black is enough. We are enough.